Once again, hello my friends, how are you doing? This lovely, slightly cloudy, here in North Wales, rather rainy evening. Been raining all day actually. I don't lie, it wasn't raining this morning when I popped over to the post box, which was about 7 o'clock in the morning. Since then, yeah, it has been really, yeah. Anyway, how are you doing? I'm alright, got me trying to colour coordinate here. Bit of red. There's a bit of red in these guitars. They've got like 3-tone sunburst, which is brown, red, and then black outside. So there should be a bit of colour coding going on. Should have worn a red t-shirt really. Here we are again. What is it now? I'm completely losing track now. I think this is, what was the last time? It was a double one. It was 13 and 14, I think. So this is the week 15 lockdown review. Although, am I going to have to start calling it something else now? Because for all the intents and purposes, lockdown just starting to seem like it's over, the official lockdown, you know? I mean, this past week we've had the restrictions for pubs and hairdressers and non-essential shops in England lifted, so they're open now, obviously with social distancing still in place. Same things happening here in Wales. Wales seems when Johnson and that sort of the government down in London announced that restrictions are lifted on this sort of business and that sort of shop and blah blah blah, and you can fly, air bridges, all this sort of stuff there. Up here in Wales, of course, or over here in Wales, I should say, because it's a Welsh Labour government, and in London it's a Tory government. It's terrible, awful idea, and then literally same sort of thing happens about a week or 2 weeks later. Sort of gameplay in it from the different political parties of which, if you've watched recent past videos, I'm not a fan of. I'm not a part of. Don't want to be a part of. Yeah, I don't know how heavily I should talk about politics in this week 15 review. But yeah, 15 weeks. It looks like the lockdown itself is, for all intents and purposes, almost over, which is odd, which is strange, because I watch a lot of news. A lot of scientists are still saying that the R rate, the infection rate, is still around 1, which isn't good, to put it mildly. Lots of people are still getting infected, and they know this in the government. So sorry for getting a bit of sound. I'm watching something called The Orville, which is like a Star Trek sort of parody spin-off, I suppose, which is fun. It's like the old sort of Star Trek with a bit of humour. It's the same guy that made Family Guy. What his name is now. It'll come to me in a minute. Anyway, because you need a bit of a laugh, don't you? I do tend to watch a lot of comedy when I do watch TV. Older stuff, because I'm an old fella now, so I like the old 70s. I love Porridge, Dad's Army, can't go wrong, can you? What else are over there? Steptoe and so, I love all that sort of stuff. So, the old classic BBC comedies, when the BBC was something to be, something to be admired, something to be proud of. Although the BBC's always been, let's face it, it's always been made for the middle classes, but, at least it was quality back then, Anyway, going off on a tangent there, aren't I? Yeah, week 15. Well, once again, which is weird, one of my friends phoned me up this morning, and she was asking me how I was, and also asked her how she was. And again, I had to report, I've been struck down again. This is Tuesday today. Today's Tuesday the I can't see that, 7th today, 7th of July 2020. On Sunday morning, got up, went to the mirror, sort of washed my face, cleaned my teeth, and bam, the whole world went spinning for a long time. I think I've got a bit of a inner ear sort of mild infection maybe, but years ago I used to have lots of problems, and I used to get it quite regularly. The problem is it's not life threatening, but it just ruins it ruins your life, because you can't do anything. You can't sort of read anything, you can't watch anything, you can't type anything, because you can't see properly, you can't see straight, you can't balance, you can't really go out because you can't balance, you're all over the place. Luckily for me, it hit me early sort of Sunday morning and seemed to go off quite relatively quickly. Within a few hours I seemed to be over the worst of it, but touch wood. So far it's not really come back. I'm a bit, not quite there yet, I had to spend the first night from that sitting up because I couldn't sort of lie down. And if you've had sort of vertigo, as they call it, which isn't, it's just like having, if you've had an ear infection, or if you've had labyrinthitis, as it's called, you'll know how really unpleasant it is. Really unpleasant, and it just stops you doing stuff. So I'm just happy I'm well enough to do this. You might see I'm sort of leaning a bit this way, which I'm tempted to do because it's the other ear, so I can't really sort of go that way without problems. But it'll pass, I'm sure. Yeah, it's been weird. As you know, again, if you've been watching the videos, I've been self-isolating along with my family, shielding as they call it now. Yeah, it's a nicer word than shielding. It's isolation. I've not come into contact with I've not come into contact with anyone apart from maybe someone delivering something or something. But then again, it's always to me to them, so I don't sort of take things off people. So I don't know where I don't know where all these little sort of illnesses I'm getting along the way have come from. Just bizarre, unless they were there anyway, and then just I don't know, just strange. But we've all had sort of bits of illness along the way. I take my vitamin D, my 10 micrograms of vitamin D each day religiously. I remember almost every single day to do that, especially when there's no sunshine out there, so you can't go out in your garden and get some lovely sort of vitamin D from the sunshine. So I'm quite careful about that. Drink orange juice every day, my vitamin C. Try and eat fruit and veg every day, if I can remember. If I remember to. The sad thing is, of course, if you've been in the same position, you'll know, for 15 weeks now, the highlight of the week, this is how sad my life has been, the most exciting part of the week is the sort of the shop, really, is thinking about what, your meals and things for the next week. That's my sort of highlight, because I get something, I don't really drink, so I've got no alcohol. I don't think that's a good idea. If you're sort of stuck in 15 weeks, for 15 weeks, and now I don't know how many more weeks, because again, self-isolating, so there's no, the easing of lockdown doesn't really help me or us very much. Still got to self-isolate until there's some sort of vaccine or something, So don't drink. I don't think it's a good idea. Drinking a house full of 3 adults are all tempers do start to fray. Patience starts to fray a bit. Well, that's not been too bad. So yeah. Every now and again, I'll have a chocolate bar or something sweet. That's the worst of my vices. So I think sod it. So that's the worst of my vices. I don't really care. I don't care. I'm not sort of sticking anything up my nose. I'm not sort of knocking it back every night. So thank God for small mercies, because I could be there quite easily. It can happen to any of us very easily without really sort of realising what we've done to ourselves. I've had friends that have anyway, we'll get into that. Anyway, yeah. So health-wise, things haven't been great. Could have been better. Been a bit confusing. What about you? Has it been the same for you? Have you been in self-isolation or shielding and been ill, even though you've not come into contact with anybody? I must say, a lot of people that I've spoken to over the phone, on this Zoom thing and messenger meetings and all sorts of stuff, a lot of them seem to say to me that they've been ill with things. A lot of them say they've been ill with things before lockdown started, I've got so many people I know that are convinced they got COVID or something very similar to it, the symptoms, back in January, February. Um, Seems to be a lot of anecdotal evidence for that from among the people I know. So who knows? It was around in Wuhan, China, from October, was it last year? October, November. They were aware of it, so it was certainly in existence then and probably before then. And with all the sort of fast international air travel, these days if something's in one country, it doesn't take long to get, especially China. I mean, how many Chinese visitors do we get in the UK? I don't know the figures, but probably hundreds of thousands a week, I would have thought. I know my university, I've been to two different universities. I've been to Gwyndor many years ago, and obviously I'm doing my PhD in Bangor. I've been there for many years, Bangor. I did my law degree there. I did my masters there in sociology, and I'm doing my PhD. Like a lot of universities, very popular with Chinese students. So probably a bit the same where you are. Obviously, if you're a touristy sort of town or city that you live in, you're going to get tourists. You're going to get a good portion of Chinese tourists. So, I know China's a big country, but if it was around in Wuhan, I suppose it's logical it's going to be in other parts again with internal travel. So who knows? Who knows? I certainly don't trust. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I certainly don't trust 100% what I'm told by any official sort of self-anointed body, particularly any government. So when the government say to us, it was only sort of spreading through the population from February, March onwards. I'm inclined, especially as I know now as a sort of a low-level sort of local politician, I know how it works and how trustworthy and sort of capable a lot of these people you'd hope aren't. I just don't trust what I'm told, to be honest. I don't believe what I'm told by government. Doesn't matter which political persuasion you're talking about there. Yeah. So who knows? Who knows? Maybe you know someone. Maybe yourself. You feel like you've been ill before this all started, and it was something to do with it. It's hard to know, isn't it? Because it was the symptoms that you've got them, and it was mild, were flu-like symptoms. So it's very difficult to tell. But I know I've not had a test yet. I could have asked for a test as a local councillor, but I didn't feel that was right to do because wherever I had it was quite mild. It was going away, and at the time the tests were scarce, especially in Wales. Tests were just really happening up in North Wales at all, and for the majority of Wales. So I didn't feel it was the right thing to do for me to sort of say, hey, look at me, I'm a councillor. I'm technically amongst the sort of frontline worker list sort of thing. That didn't seem right to me. So I've never had the test. I never had it when I felt ill, when I was ill, and I've never had the antibody thing. Although I've read and heard that the antibody test might not be completely reliable. So I'm not sure what's happening there, what's going on with there. So maybe you know more than me. If you do, please comment down below, let me know. So yeah, not great health. I think the last time I spoke to you and uploaded, I did a bit of a PIP, a universal credit, so it's pep talk and top tips, things like that. So I spent a week or more writing my PIP appeal. Spent 4 or 5 days trying to actually send it. You have to post it. You have to post it back to them through a letterbox via an actual letter. I know in the 22 decades, into the 21st century, you have to post it back to them again. It has to be back within a month of the postmark on the letter you received. So it's another way of sort of tripping you up, basically. They could make it email quite easily. It could be email. But they've decided to do it post, so if the post is slow, it's another there's another excuse like, oh well, you were late, you weren't within a month because we got it a day late or 2 days late, 2 days late or whatever. Also, I noticed that so this is for PIP appeals. Oh, sorry, PIP. Sorry, no. This is for the PIP mandatory reconsideration, which is the step you have to do before an appeal. So I've asked for a mandatory reconsideration in writing. Given my response to their reasons why they didn't, they said in their view that I wasn't eligible. Lots of it was they just completely this assessor from Capita either completely failed to write down anything I said to her about each of the topics that we discussed health-wise, or she wrote down just odd sort of shorter précises which didn't explain any of the stuff that I went to length to explain. It wasn't by accident. Come on, I've been here too long in this, doing all this. It wasn't by accident, you know. And of course, they're in it together, the DWP and Capita. So even if you have written stuff down, they've just, I mean, it's just blanket statements like, you say, you know, you got this. Well, I basically think you can, you know, from the decision maker. Well, where's their evidence that I'm, you know, that I'm a liar? There's none. It's just their opinion, completely subjective. So obviously, I've in my response, which is what you have to do if you do this, or someone, family member or friend has to do this. I've written at length what we discussed on the phone. I did actually tell my assessor in quite a long, detailed conversation on each topic. You know how this affects me, what I can and can't do, which they've just not put down. You know. So yeah, I'd recommend taking your time to do that, but try and get it back to them before the month sort of thing, because again you have to post it, so bear that in mind. I think, as far as I know, you have to post it. I found out with the universal credit, because I think when I did the video for the last 2 weeks, I had to do a little special intro the day after, because I found out last Wednesday that the government, the DWP, and their minister have decided to bring back reactivate benefit sanctions, which of course affects you on universal credit primarily. I think also ESA ESA work group as well are also subject to sanctions. I think I could be wrong there. Disaster, really. Terrible decision. Even Labour realises it's a terrible decision and asked them not to do it. Any sort of welfare benefit charities, Citizens Advice, Child Poverty Action Group, all these sorts of things have said, don't do it. This is obviously just this is just compounding the issue with the fact that people are losing their jobs, losing furlough. This just leads to more disaster. You know, you've already got 3 million or more probably people signing on to universal credit now anyway, since the beginning of this. It's insanity. It's pure punishment. It's all it is pure punishment. Of course, they dressed up as, oh, we're helping people back to work. You know, what work? That's the point. That's the point. You know, there's work around there. There's work around. You know, they want, in my humble opinion, they want to give the option of universal credit with the threat of being sanctioned all the time, or take any shit in the money. It's 0 hours contracts, anything, even though, you know, even if it's completely useless to you. They've of course got business mates who own these businesses that have 0 hours contracts. Don't want you to have your rights as a worker, so you don't want you to have a proper contracted hours and all that sort of stuff. It's the gutter or exploitation, basically, the gutter or wage slavery. That's the option they're giving you. Typical, right out of the Tory handbook, you know, right out of the Victorian Tory party handbook, you know. Like I say, the current Labour Party are much better. At least they make the right noises, you know. I'd like to see how much they really give her to what's about people in your position, my position, our position in reality, because I've been around long enough to know what they were like in in this respect when they were in government 10 years ago. Well, they weren't much better, to be honest. So yeah, that's happened. Yesterday, I thought, was it yesterday or today? I saw a video on another great YouTube channel, Mark My Words. So I highly recommend that if you haven't seen it already. Mark My Words it's called. It's Mark. He basically puts out lots of videos about universal credit, about what's happening coming up with universal credit, mostly the benefit sanctions thing being reintroduced last Wednesday. Mark had that up there. There's quite a lot of people actually who've been on it or are on it now who are talking about universal credit and making videos about universal credit with tips and their experiences and what's wrong with it basically. So I'd advise after you've watched this, go and seek them out. They're very good. But Mark today put out another video where he's found an article which I haven't had time to look at yet, which is basically, or some figures, which is basically that, which is entirely predictable, which show that universal credit appeals have skyrocketed. I think it was odd. I think from what you said, because I was having to wash up at the time I was listening to this in the kitchen behind me. This was before lockdown was called, and of course there were a lot less people then on universal credit. So and it wasn't clear why they've suddenly shot up for that period at the beginning of the year, as compared with the same period in the previous year. So that'll be interesting. Now, I've noticed they don't like to release figures and stats, the DWP, about this sort of stuff, which I think tells you everything. They don't want they don't want people to know. I mean, it's very hard to get stats to find out exactly actually how many people are really claiming universal credit right now as we speak, and the ESA and the ESA work. You'd have to dig around to find that if it's there. I don't know. I haven't really, time-wise and health-wise, I've not had the chance, but that's the sort of thing I'm usually sort of looking at, reading, investigating, for my own information and for the PhD sort of research, really. So all interesting stuff, not particularly great stuff on the old universal credit and benefits front, or health-wise for me. But yeah, I can't complain. It can always do worse. It's a niggling thing that'll go. It's unpleasant, but it'll go. I know that, and the only sort of really annoying thing about it is that I was working hard to sort of get fitter, and it was working, and lots of sort of stepping and aerobic stepping and moving around and walking and everything, and I'm still not right. I still can't stay on my feet for very long, as long as I'd like to do things, but it was incrementally, getting very slightly better. I was getting very slightly fitter, nowhere near where I need to be yet, really, to sort of to do what I'd like to do, really, without a lot of trouble. But I was sort of condemned to my house for a whole year last year, where I couldn't do anything. So it's baby steps, isn't it? It's small steps, But I was doing them, and when this goes away, I'll be doing them again. So it's slightly annoying that I can't just carry on with that now at the minute. But sleep and rest and eating healthily, and I must say, as much as I've been looking forward to my sort of weekly sort of food deliveries and things and all of that, I've also been trying to teach myself how to cook. So I've been watching lots of sort of basic recipes on YouTube and buying little bits I'd never usually have, like little bloody paprika and capers and what did I get the other day? making sort of fancy pasta, and I made a paella, and although I'm not sure I got that quite right, to be honest. Um, I'm making some sort of French, what do you call it, chicken and French soup sort of inspired thing for a couple of meals tomorrow, I think, which I'm enjoying. But again, I'm not up to physically. I'm not up to doing this. I'm struggling. I'm really struggling to be honest, because it's there's always something else going on. So it's a bit, it's slight bedlam, to be honest. Um, and I'm just not. If you don't always, if you're not fit enough physically, it has a knock-on effect with your concentration and your stamina and fatigue. So you can't really. You have to concentrate and stuff like that. You have to sort of plan ahead and know what you're doing. And if you've got tons going on, you've already sort of spent up your energy by the time you get around to it. It doesn't really work. So that's the sort of stage I'm at, really. So it's not. I'm enjoying trying to do it, but I'm not actually really doing it really very well, or to how I want to, or sort of need to, really. So I'm probably going to knock that on the head until I'm a bit fitter. Yeah, I can do everything else that I need to do and that on top. But we've all got to try and eat healthily and sort of stay as healthy as we can as possible. So yeah, it's quite a short one today. Only not even half an hour yet. I've got a lot to say, to be honest. Sort of check in and say hello. Yeah, well, I hope the weather gets a bit nicer for you. I hope we get a bit more sunshine up here and where you are, so we can enjoy our gardens a bit more. I'll be sitting in my garden having a read if I can, if the sort of sun comes out, and maybe a more interesting week next week. And so I'll get something to be a bit excited about. I like doing these and getting excited, and being all sort of, but I'm not in that. That's not me today. I'm quite sort of relaxed and quiet, and just a bit tired, really. But I'm going to try and have a bit of a read of some of the stuff. I've got a new book that I need to read, so for the old PhD, so start having a read of that. Take these glasses off and put my identical, and they are identical frames and everything, reading glasses on with the Coke bottle lenses. Again, I'm getting on. I've reached the stage where I've had to, on this tablet here, I've had to actually go into the settings to increase the font size because I couldn't read. I was having trouble reading the sort of names on the icons, and I know what the icons do, but and all the other sort of stuff. I was having a lot of trouble. I thought God, you're there now, aren't you? You would sort of get the medium print before you know it'll be the large print, and that'll be the start of the slippery slope, I think. So yeah, not thrilled about that one. Like I said, I've got separate reading glasses for the first time in my life. I had to get them last year, and it's funny because I'll read something before I go to bed and put my reading glasses on, or I'll be reading something on the tablet and I'll put my reading glasses on and I'll put them down by my sort of bedside and that. I'll forget, these are my normal ones, see? I'll put these in the box and the glasses case or whatever. And of course, when I get up in the night for one of my numerous visits to the little boys' room, I'll put on the glasses that I had on, forgetting they're reading glasses. So of course, even if I've not got this dizziness problem now, I'm like, ooh, it's like wearing Coca-Cola bottles on your eyes. Like, oh, I'm all over the place. So it makes this worse. And I forget that I'm wearing the wrong ones. And then about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the morning, after I've been wearing them for hours, hours and hours, I'm wondering why I'm feeling a bit weird. I realise I've got the wrong bloody glasses on. So yeah, it's quite funny, really. I haven't gone out with them on yet. So I hope I don't, because it just does knock you off balance a bit. But anyway, enough of me and my advancing years. What is it? That Pink Floyd song is the time one. What's the lyric? Shorter of breath and one day closer to death. That's it, isn't it? Yeah. I don't know why I popped in there. I popped in there. Anyway, ciao for now. It's under 30 minutes. 30 minutes now. Goodbye. See you next week. Take care.